Hey guys, hello. Welcome back to my channel. It's me, Steven. I do apologize for the lighting, and I'll probably apologize a couple times. I'm being lit by a table lamp right now. I'm in my hotel room in Atlanta, and there was just no good lighting here, so there you go. I figured I would film a video for you, harking, who uses that word anymore? Going back to my roots, going back to the topic of how to get a job as a flight attendant. And I figured I'd make a little video on one of the most dreaded aspects of the hiring event is the bag lift. Back in the good old days when I was on the Facebook page, Flight Attendant Career Connections, I mean, it just seemed daily there would be posts about people being afraid of the bag lift or talking about how they failed the bag lift. And I figured it's 2.5 years since I've been filming things, I finally should get to this topic. So I'm going to show you the way that I would suggest lifting a suitcase and how I lift a suitcase from a standing position. I'm also going to show you a way that most airlines, at least I can speak for myself, my airline will always have a chair or something nearby that you can actually use to help yourself. You know, a lot of you wear heels to the event. If you've not practiced lifting a suitcase, and you should practice, and I'll mention that later. If you haven't lifted a 50-pound or say a 35-pound suitcase in a pair of 2.5-inch heels, you might be able to take those off when you practice. I'm sure they're gonna give you that opportunity. And there's probably gonna be a chair there for you to actually start if you're on the shorter side or just don't have upper body strength. So I'll show you both ways that I would lift a bag in a hiring event or in a real life situation. So watch that. All right, I do not have a wireless microphone, so I'm gonna back up so you can see what I'm doing. You may not be able to hear me very well, and I do apologize for that in advance, but let's lift a bag. Ignore the belly. All right, so first off, stance. My legs are gonna be a little bit apart with my legs kind of one leg back a little bit here. I'm going to lift with my right arm. I'm right-handed. I'm going to lift with my right. Watch the angle at which my upper arm and my lower arm go. My upper arm, the back of it, is going to rest against my rib cage when I lift. So watch, just watch this. So I'm going to lift with this. I'm going to grab here with my hand. I'm going to lift and see the angle at which my elbow is and my giant belly. My elbow is against my rib cage. So lift with my right, and as I lift, I'm putting my hand under there, and I push up with this hand, and at the same time, I push forward with my right arm into the overhead bin. My bag is full, by the way. So once again, real quick, positioning, watch out for your back, lift with your legs, lift with your behind. I'm gonna lift up, I'm gonna put my hand right in the back of it and push up. And at the same time, I'm gonna push up and forward with my left arm, and I'm gonna push forward with my right into the overhead bin. And all you have to do is get the edge of your bag in there, like the wheels in, then you can just push the rest of the way. So all you have to do is get the corner of your bag in there and then just push it up. But for those people who are petite or shorter, during most of these hiring events, you can take your shoes off, most of them. You can take your heels off if you're wearing heels. And the most time, our hiring events will have a chair available. So if you are really petite or you don't have a lot of upper body strength, there'll be a passenger seat on the aircraft, right? So most of our training events will let you use a chair to help yourself. So take your heels off, take a deep breath, don't psych yourself out. Lift your bag up onto the edge of a chair, so you don't have to use your entire upper bodies to lift that bag from the ground. And then just, again, do the same thing. Notice where I put my elbow, rests against my belly. It rests against my rib cage.
So I'm gonna lift, help support by that angle, see, on my giant belly, and then I'm gonna lift, and then again, push forward. That's how to lift a bag.
Ta-da! There's 2 ways of lifting a bag. Ugh, that belly, right? I need to lose weight. It won't happen tonight because I'm going to be eating like 4 servings of macaroni and cheese. So why do we have to prove to our future employers that we can lift a 50-pound suitcase? It's not just because we have to show that we can lift our own suitcase, because you're going to be living out of a suitcase. You have to prove that you're actually physically capable of lifting that suitcase of your own. Never mind, now most airlines don't require, it's not part of the job description of helping passengers with their suitcase, but you might have to help them. So you have to be able to show you can help them. But is it just about lifting suitcases? You're going to guess the answer is no. So the airline isn't going to tell you this, but I'll tell you. But they want to see if you're physically capable, you have at least the strength to lift a small suitcase, so that in the event that you're on an aircraft and you're doing service and that beverage cart might weigh 200 pounds, 300 pounds full, can you handle that cart in an aisle of an aircraft when we have mild turbulence? Do you have the upper body strength to manage that cart? It's important. We're told in moderate turbulence, which is pretty scary actually, it's worse than it sounds, we have to make sure that if we can't safely get that cart back to the galley and secure it, we have to be able to at least lodge it, wedge it between 2 seats. Do you have the upper body strength to help wedge a cart in place and potentially hold it in place if we're experiencing turbulence to protect yourself and your guests? Do you have that strength? I don't know. And what else? If we had an emergency situation and we were going to evacuate the aircraft, do you have the physical ability to help evacuate that aircraft? If I have a non-ambulatory guest, someone who can't move on their own, and most of our guests have deplaned, my able-bodied assistant or my assistant to this person, they fled, they jumped into the life raft. I have to be able to grab that passenger by the arms or the ankles or however I can and pull them out right down that slide, So having upper body strength or enough to lift a suitcase isn't just about a suitcase, but it's really all about safety as well. And this is how I see it. So can you handle a 250 or 300 pound cart in an aisle if you're by yourself and there's moderate turbulence? I don't know. So that's why I think the bag lift is especially important. Can you do it? Now, if you want to practice, pick up, if you have a rollaboard or if you have a small suitcase, put 35 pounds worth of stuff in there. Pack as if you're going on a 4-day trip. When I go to a hiring event, and we don't have them very often in Vegas, but when we go to a hiring event in Vegas, they tell me, pack your rollerboard for a 4-day trip. And that is the suitcase that a lot of our candidates would use to do the bag lift during our hiring events. So pack a bag and practice. But again, lift with your legs, your butt. Don't hurt your back. One of the reasons we as flight attendants don't have to help our guests with their bags is so that we don't injure ourselves. We get a lot of shoulder injuries, back injuries from people lifting improperly. So if you have a gym membership and a trainer, maybe ask them for help in training you how to be able to lift. But practice lifting a suitcase, because I'll tell you, when we're at a hiring event and we're at that point where someone has to prove they can lift that suitcase, and you don't have to lift it over your head, I don't think. Oh, that felt good. But do you have the ability to lift it into an overhead bin? All right. The really sad thing is that there are people who will get to that point and they will have already talked themselves out of it. They will have psyched themselves out and said, I can't lift it. And they approach the bag like it's a snake. And you could see the fear in their eyes. And they'll try and they'll try. And I'll tell you, I think we'll give you 3 tries. But if you can't do it on the 3rd time, I won't tell you it's a no. You might have someone who's super generous and will give you all the time you need. But at our hiring events, there's a lot of people. And so you want to be able to lift that bag. So, you know, practice, do a little exercise, and don't be afraid of the bag. If you have ever picked up a 5-year-old, you know, you know, if you're able to put a 4 or a 5-year-old kid on, pick them up and put them on your hip and walk around, you can pick up a suitcase. I promise. I promise. If you know, even if you're an older person, if you've ever picked up a grandchild and played with them, think about it that way. You can pick up a suitcase if you can pick up a kid, right? All right. I talked long enough. This video doesn't have to be any longer. If you have any questions or if you'd like me to expand upon anything, certainly let me know. There you go. I'll talk to you later. Fly safe. Bye.